Afternoons with Roxanne Flores on News Talk 710 KURV. Thank you so much for joining me. Well, I'm pretty sure many of y'all have heard the news that a lot of businesses are still feeling the blow when it comes to COVID-19. And also, a lot of businesses are dealing with supply chain issues. And I just feel like, man, they haven't been able to catch a break. It was one thing after another. So many small businesses had to close down because of the pandemic. They were deemed non-essential last year, had to go through hoops and bounds to be able to just stay afloat. And then now we have a supply chain disruption that's been really, I guess, impacting people across the country and across the world. Joining me on 710 KURV is Tomme Sheehan. He is an expert on small businesses. He is the CEO of YOUnion, a company that was created out of frustration to truly help small businesses during the pandemic. Tomme, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. Now, we are really feeling it, huh? Now, we're small business owners ourselves. My husband and I, we own a gym, but luckily we already have all our equipment, so we don't really have to deal with shortages. But there are so many other companies and businesses, mom and pop shops, that have been really feeling the supply chain disruption. What is going on, Tomme?
Well, thanks for having me, Roxanne, first of all. So let me give you a little bit of the background on some of these things. So anybody who has to buy any kind of material, they're delayed. So if you're a dry cleaner and you want to buy hangers, it's really hard for you to find it. If you're a grocery store and you're looking for any kind of import or exported products that you have to get shipped in, you're delayed. And those delays can be anywhere between 8 to 12 weeks. And it's extremely difficult for them to figure out, what's in their stores and what they're going to be able to price things. So all of the customers that we have are complaining about not being able to understand what their cash flow is, or even understand when they're going to have the products on their shelves. Okay.
So a hanger shortage. I'm just thinking about, I've heard of it all. I've heard of, there like was a Chick-fil-A sauce shortage. There was a tortilla shortage. And now I hadn't heard of hangers, but I'm watching this report right now that, even a hanger shortage. And is this all because of the pandemic? Because last year when the world was told to shut down, that really stopped production on so many things. So is that the root cause of why we're having so much problems with supply chain disruptions?
Well, so the supply chain is much more complicated than what the politicians or what people are talking about on the news in general, right? There's a lot of pieces to it. So you have 90 boats and you have thousands and thousands of different ships that are delayed. So you have this whole shipping problem. Then you have the whole logistics problem with the trucking. Then you have the whole warehousing problem, or the whole train problem. The whole supply chain was backed up during COVID. So we bought as many things as we could, but we're not able to staff the jobs is really what the problem is. So, and then the small business owners aren't able to actually do anything other than sit back and wait, whereas Walmart can buy charter aircraft and bypass that entire distribution problem.
That's true.
So, yeah, you have all of it is being delayed right now.
When it comes to small businesses and their frustration, and you, the CEO of YOUnion, a company that was created out of the frustration that so many of us have felt during the pandemic, what are small businesses, what are they telling you? What are they going through? What is their worry? And how long are we going to be dealing with this?
Well, their major concern is cash flow, right? So 80% of all small businesses fail because of cash flow. So if you think of inventory in supply chain is about getting inventory. And the pandemic is about workforce. So now if you don't have inventory and you don't have workforce, it's very difficult for you to be able to manage your cash flow. And that is by far the number one that is by far the problem. So in your gym, if you couldn't get people to come to help you work, and you didn't have the materials to actually have people that, like the weights or the equipment that they were using, and you didn't know when you were going to get them or when your staff was going to be there, it'd be very difficult for you to be able to run your business. And that's what's happening in every business. So it doesn't matter what business it is. If it's a pizza place or it's a dry cleaner or you're trying to sell T-shirts, they are absolutely right now all being killed and slaughtered. Wow. And there's not anybody who's actually helping them. So if I was to tell you story after story, it would be about they're all having to change their menus, they're having to change their inventory, they're going to have to change their prices, and they're all deathly afraid of changing their prices because
Yep.
if they price it too high, then the e-commerce platforms become cheaper, and everybody's going to go to Walmart or they're going to go somewhere else. I mean, that's happening everywhere.
Yeah, can you talk about Tomme Sheehan, my guest on 710 KURV, expert on small businesses, just talking about how supply chain issues continue to impact small businesses. And you bring up cash flow right now, Tomme, and how that's like the biggest concern that people have, that business owners have. Can you talk about how inflation is playing a part in all this? Because I know we're all feeling it too.
Yeah, I mean, so inflation happens because you have to raise the price, right? So, I mean, and if you're competitive and price is the only thing that you have, that's actually, convenience in the price, right? So local business and small business or Main Street has three things that work for it: availability, to say, hey, I have something available that I can do now, whether it's a service or a product, and then convenience. That's really the heart and soul of it, unless it's about just people who want to support the local community. So when we talk about inflation, it's all about the price that you get to compete with. So if you had, like I said, if we went back to your gym as an example, and let's say your monthly fee was $19, and then all of a sudden you had to, because of shortages, you had to make it $39, there would be a percentage of your customer base that wouldn't be able to stay with you just because they just wouldn't have the money in their budgets to be able to deal with that. And they would have to either cut it out or not. I mean, so inflation is affecting the price of every single thing, and then families have to make those decisions. Right? It's not like they're making more money; they just have to figure out where they're going to spend it.
I know that, and I know a lot of people are feeling that right now because of inflation and also gas prices. Am I going to spend money on my gym membership of 20 some bucks a month, or am I going to spend money on making sure I have gas in my tank? I know these are the conversations that people are having every single day. Now there's another news article, Tomme, that talks about how you have so many people resigning their jobs. Like I think it was 4 million just a few months ago, and that is just a record number. And you have businesses that are dealing with worker shortages. They're paying more to keep the ones that they already have and trying to give bonuses to incentivize people to come work for them. And now we have people resigning like that. Just what's going on? How long are you guys anticipating, this taking place until hopefully things go back to what we would call normal or pre-pandemic?
Well, for me and our company, we actually built a company that didn't charge it. We don't charge owners, right? So we don't charge the owner, and we manage their cash flow. So for us, this is actually the reason why we built the company. For people who currently today, because we just launched our product, so before we built our product, they had nowhere to turn. And the problem with the workforce is that, when you treat people poorly and then you make it so they're fearful of COVID, right? I mean, being in Texas is different than being in other places, right? So I was in Chicago before I was in Texas, and Chicago was closed down. My daughter, who worked at the grocery store, who suffers from asthma, was actually forced to quit her job and go on, unemployment because she just couldn't take the risk.
Yeah.
And she's only 23 years old, right? So, and a bunch of the folks that are out there, this whole gig workforce is able to figure out how to make money for themselves remotely. So they were stipend for a long time, by unemployment insurance or the people, all of the different loans that were out there, and then they were able to make money through content, right? Through all the different gig workers. So now people just are making that decision if they're going to make their $38,000 or $50,000 in different ways that they could stay home. There's a big part of our country that actually is able to do that. So it's also adding to the supply chain problem too, right? So here's ultimately what's happening. Everybody is buying things from suppliers that they don't know. And if you're paying people that you don't know, that means you're not benefiting from the money that's being spent. And ultimately, what we have to do is start spending money with people that we do know and supporting our local communities. This is really what's going on, right? You have one group of business models that's all about supporting people that you don't know, and then there's a new group of business models that's about trying to get people to support the people that they do. And
Yeah,
that's
I
really
know it's
why I created the business.
it's just one thing after another. Before we go, Tommy, back to your company YOUnion, YOUnion. Tell us more about you creating YOUnion and how we can find out more about your company.
Well, so YOUnion is a free POS system, payment gateway system for small business owners, as well as a free, basically think of it as a virtual or digital store and business, so that you can run your business, even your gym. It doesn't matter. It was created so that people could figure out how digital could be used for their business with no cost to the owner. So customers that wanted to be serviced digitally would pay a fee, a very small fee, about 5 to 10%, and then owners would have no fee. So basically they would be able to have a fixed cost as to what each one of their items cost. Yeah. So they would be basically protected from any kind of inflation impact, at least within their cash flow. And you can find us at jointheunion.com, which is join the union, YOUnion.com.
Yeah, well,
and it's really just about managing cash flow. I mean, you should actually look at it. It's free, right? So we made it because we really want people to just use it, and it'll be able to figure out their chart of accounts, the P&L of their business. It teaches you about, who your best customer is, what your best products are. It's really, and it probably sounds too good to be true, but the truth is, just download it, use it, and that's actually what it was built for.
Yeah, that is awesome. I'm on the website right now, and I can't wait to learn more about it. Tommy, thank you so much for joining me and for your insights and just having a great conversation with me. That is Tomme Sheehan. He's an expert on small businesses. Also the CEO of YOUnion, a company that was created out of frustration to truly help businesses during the pandemic. And the website is jointheunion.com, YOUnion.com. Thank you so much. That's Tomme Sheehan, my guest on 710 KURV.